There we go. Okay, so once again, welcome to Terrific Teams. And a few notes about this workshop. We will be recording, as you just saw, for those who couldn't make it. Everyone, please mute yourself until you're going to speak, and use the raise hand feature to comment or ask a question. I ask you come with an open mind, and as President Stephanie Smith says, treat each other with grace and kindness. I'm Suzanne Herron. I'm the current governor of the Western Canada region, and I've dusted off my facilitator hat for this meeting. I'm a proud member of SI Victoria West Shore, and I know we have a lot of Soroptimists here, and we've got at least a couple of non-Soroptimists. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So I would love to just do a little chat bomb. Everyone, don't press return until I say so, but just type into the chat which Soroptimist club you belong to or which town you're in, and do that now, but don't press return until I say 3, 2, 1, return. Wow. Look at this. Yvonne Simpson is here from New Zealand. It's the middle of the afternoon there. We've got folks from California. And so awesome, everybody, to see you. Kenya is here from New York. We're from all over. And I saw Kim from Australia. So thank you, everyone, for coming. That's a kind of a speedy way of introducing ourselves. And one more introduction and huge gratitude to Vinny Eswathi for being my technical genius. She is going to put everybody into 2 breakout rooms, and she's already busy letting in any latecomers. So let's get started. We're going to have a look at what makes terrific teams and how teams or groups develop and what ingredients are necessary, what people actually do to make them shine. And then we're going to practice and reflect a bit on the roles that we found useful, the roles we found hard, and how those apply to the teams, groups, clubs, committees that we find ourselves leading or just being part of. And I hope we have time at the end to take a look at difficulties within groups, difficult situations, and how you can start handling some of that. So I am going to my. So, welcome, as I said, and groups are made up of individuals, and all individuals have needs. And probably many of you are familiar with the needs identified by Abraham Maslow, a hierarchy from the most basic to the most awesome. So here they are, from your really basic physiological needs to safety and security, and the whole kind of love and belonging, self-esteem and self-actualizing, you know, which makes me think of Soroptimist, right? Because don't we say that we are women at our best, helping other women to be their best? So we're all about self-actualizing. So the stages that groups go through as they develop reflect the needs of their members. And many of you have probably come across models of group development, you know, the whole storming, norming thing, which I always mix them up. So I was thinking about this actually today, and I created my own. And it reflects how needs get met as a group develops and becomes awesome. So at first, it's the start of a group when people come together and basic needs have to be met. So have we got a place to meet? Is there coffee and tea? Are we going to feed people, right? Members need to feel physically secure, and they need to feel comfortable in joining. And they need clarity on what the group is all about. So this is when members commit, you know, I will join that committee, or I will join this club. And then we get to what I call the hearts stage of the group. And that's responding to those individual needs for belonging, for friendship, for a sense of connection. And this is when it's important to build trust and to model as a leader mutual support. And this is when, people start to ask each other how they are and they mean it. And people volunteer for tasks and they help each other out. So that's the heart. And then the next stage, I called the apart stage. And it's a response to members' needs for recognition, for respect, for freedom, for self-esteem. And the group gets seriously to work and people individuate, they do tasks, they take on things and they accomplish stuff. And sometimes they clash over what we're doing and what's the best way to do it. And one thing that is needed that people look for is honesty with each other. There's trust and then there's trust. So the final stage is when the group gets what I call smart. And that's the self-actualizing piece. When the group is the best that it can be. When members are interdependent instead of independent or dependent. And when the whole group is greater than the sum of its parts. When it's maintaining a balance between achieving its goals and maintaining that social glue and genuine friendship. So how do we achieve such awesomeness? Well, in any group, there are roles that are taken on by members to move the group on. There are task roles that get the work done. There are what's called the maintenance roles to really contribute to the group's positive functioning. And of course, there are some dysfunctional roles that might meet individuals' needs, but not the group needs. They can get in the way of getting the job done. They can wash away some of that social glue. So and the roles that people take on will change through the life of a group, and some roles will be more of one than the other at the start and at the end. Okay, so, and I think most folks got the email that I sent with a kind of a list of these tasks, a list of the roles. So the task roles, right? There's the initiator. Wouldn't it be great if we could bring Dream It Be It to a younger group of girls? Wouldn't it be great if we could serve dinner to our Live Your Dream winners and their families? Or, hey, has anyone else thought about that? There's the seekers, the people who are asking for information, asking for people's opinions. So who are our biggest donors? Or who knows someone in Kelowna? Or what does everyone think of that notion? Or what are some other opinions and ideas? And then there are the givers, right? The people who provide facts and information. That donor now works for the widget factory and has a new stepdaughter. Or I like that idea. Or I'm not sure about that. The elaborator. Funny you should mention that. I was just talking to my daughter's middle school teacher, and she said, if we could concentrate on Facebook, we'll likely miss the younger professional. So the elaborator is also, looking at consequences of things. And then the coordinator, who can join ideas together. That would do what Sharon was hoping for, and we could do this and that, and we could bring in what Sandra said too. The orienter, who Shari is my orienter. Shari Grant keeps me on track. Right. So, well, that's a great idea for older girls. Let's get back to the middle school. Or okay, we've got 20 career mentors. How many more do we need? The evaluator, sometimes critic. Have we got enough volunteers for that? Will that actually get us in the door of the widget factory? And the energizer. We can do this. Let's have a brainstorming session. And then thank God for Vinny's a technician who makes sure that we have what we need, that the lights are on, that the heat is on. and the recorder, who can say, well, let me just pull up the minutes of that motion. So those are all tasks, roles, actions that people do that move the task along, that get to the goal. And then the other piece are the maintenance roles. And these are the ones that create the social glue. So, there's the encourager. You are awesome. This is going to be fun, or have a brownie. There's the harmonizer. Well, you have to admit she has a point. Or I think what she means is, or just throwing some humor in. The compromiser. Everyone has an opportunity to say, I could live with that, or let's try it your way. The gatekeeper. This is actually my favorite of all these roles. This is the one that I think, for me, is the most important. So, we haven't heard from Darlene yet. Or, yes, we know what you think. Let's hear from somebody else. Or what if we do a go around of ideas and just get people's thoughts? The observer. My favorite example of that is at one meeting in our club, Joan said to me, I'm getting uncomfortable, Suzanne. I feel like you're pressuring Leah to take on that job. And so, we could talk about that. Or if somebody says, oh, that seemed hard. Why was that so hard? And the followers, right? I'm happy to just absorb what everyone is saying. How many times did you ask somebody? So what do you think? And they'll just say, well, I'm just kind of listening here. I'm taking it all in. And we all can play those different roles at one time or another. So then the dysfunctional roles that sometimes happen are the ones that disrupt the group progress away from the goal, and also weaken its cohesion. Again, it kind of waters down the social glue. So there's the, somebody gets aggressive, well, that's a ridiculous idea. Or, well, you haven't got the experience that you need for this. The blocker, that'll never work. We've always done it this way. That's the classic. In my old club, or nope, I can't think of anything. The recognition seeker. Let me tell you about the time I got $200,000 for whatever. Oh my gosh. On our vacation, we had the best whatever. The self-confessor can throw stuff in that might seem relevant, but it's not really. That reminds me of when and then she's off, right? Or, oh God, this is just like the fights I have with my husband. The disruptor, the person who tells jokes or reads out loud or makes loud comments. The dominator. This is also my favorite. Many years ago, I was in a group, and the group observer at the tail end said, well, Suzanne was the one who was interrupting all the time. And I went, oh my God, I was. And so ever since then, I've been very cognizant of interrupting. The argument authority is a great one for a dominating person to use. I've facilitated groups for 30 years, or etc. The help seeker. Oh, I can't help you. I'm too confused because I'm useless with all this stuff. And the special interest leader is someone who speaks not for themselves, but ostensibly, well, the folks at headquarters sure wouldn't have that idea. Or, how cheap teachers are, they won't go for that. So, and again, we've all probably been there, certainly seen some of those. So that's like a whirlwind tour of the roles within groups. Now, Anybody got questions, comments here? I'll just stop my share for a moment. Anything familiar to folks? Taking it all in, are you? Okay, Vinny, have you, oh, thank you, Suze.
I really love the breakout of all of the different people and the names that are there. I can say that at times I've been in those maybe not so great uh, descriptions of people within a meeting, and also was pointed to me early on, and I learned from it, but I see it quite often, um, and it's just, it happens when you have groups. There's people are just all different personalities. So I really enjoyed looking at the list and associating my own behavior, but also other people that I've been in groups with, and how they could be described within a group setting. So I appreciate it. Thank you.
Well, we're all going to get a chance to try it out. So Vinny, have you got some breakout rooms set up?
I have, yes.
Awesome. Okay, so here's the deal. So your task in your breakout group is to design and plan a Soroptimist recruitment event. And for those folks who are not Soroptimist, doesn't matter, join in, because you probably know how to get people in a room, or will have some ideas about it. And each group has 2 observers. So your role as an observer is exactly that. You're going to stay out of the discussion, and you're going to scribble names down on your list of roles. You're going to scribble some examples. And afterwards, you'll hear from the observers and the team members about what helped you move along and make you awesome, and what, if anything, got in the way. And we're going to take about 20 to 25 minutes for this. I'm going to say 25 minutes because that gives you a real chance to practice some of these. And you might also, I imagine that you'll come up with some really good ideas. So here's your task. We got a city of 100 to 150,000 people. And some of us know a few folks there, but we haven't got any real boots on the ground. So what are you going to achieve, and how will you close the deal with potential members, and what happens next? Now, I have not assigned anyone to be observers. So the first thing that you need to do in the breakout rooms is get a couple of people to observe. So, any questions? Going once, going twice. Okay. Vinny, work your magic. Vinny, you got to get rid of Cheryl.
I am trying to find her name. I can't see her name.
Oh.
Yeah, Cheryl is in room 1.
Maybe Cheryl can join room 1.
She's Yeah, okay.
Okay. You want to,
I am joining room 1, and we have 11 people in room 1, and room 12 has 12 people. Room 2 has 12 people. Okay.
so how do I get you all back?
How do you, sorry?
How do I get you all back?
They're all gonna come back on their own.
Automatically?
Yeah.
It'll end.
Do you want?
That's fine. That's fine.
Okay.
Set it for.
You can let me know, and I can close all the rooms whenever you want me to do that.
Great.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna go in my room then.
Okay, see you in a bit.
Yeah.
Right.
It was me and Yvonne.
Oh, I wondered why you guys weren't saying anything.
It was really hard. It was so hard.
Anna was just sitting there observing.
I was. I have like a whole page of notes.
Well, what did you observe? Share some of your discoveries.
It was interesting to watch different people step forward at different times in the discussion. So initially, like, we were spending a lot of time figuring out the process, and then finally somebody said, if we don't get on with this, we're not going to actually get our event planned. And so that, I think was a helpful comment to keep the group moving. And then, but just to watch different people, and eventually some of the ones who were more vocal at the beginning sort of stepped back a little, and other people became a little more central to the discussion. There were only 1 or 2 people in the whole group who really didn't say a lot, but they were invited at the end to have some input. Yvonne, do you have some other observations?
Yes.
You're muted, dear.
Yes, Yvonne, who did what?
You're muted, Yvonne.
Sorry, I'm on my phone and it's not easy with a small screen. So what I tried to log who was doing what, but I couldn't see the name in the bottom of the screen. So I had a woman with blue top, somebody with plants, that's U-turns, glasses on head, Paris in the background, and then I finally figured out I could find the name. So that was only partway through. So as an observer, I may get 50%, but not the other 50%. To me, there were 2 strong leaders who, there was Laurie and Chari initially. Then Suze gave technical support as well and did some encouraging. So everybody contributed, and I like the fact that somebody was asked to be an observer and she didn't want to, so that was okay. I think that was a kind, caring thing to do. Is that so if somebody said no because of, or I don't want to, that was absolutely fine to do that. The including of people using their names directly and checking off, as you mentioned, there's quite some strong technical support with using the chat and showing the screen so that we could see what those roles were, because I didn't have it in front of me. Suggestions, encouraging, humour, clarifying, all those things came through for me very, very strongly. Calling on others' experience, setting goals. I think, getting started was a bit delayed. And I said, look, I'll be an observer because we just got to get going. Thinking, why am I doing this? Because I haven't got the information in front of me. Then we had the initiator. I think Laurie initiated it to start with. The goals were clarified. There's lots of questions at the start to make sure that everybody was being consulted, and then they got enthusiastic and went for it. Melanie contributed in the chat line as well. Cheryl asked some questions. For example, nobody, well, I guess unless it's the chat, nobody was set down as a recorder. Nobody took minutes. That was one sort of interesting thing I thought wasn't there. But none of you did these dysfunctional ones. So we didn't have nobody to write down over. Nobody was aggressive or a blocker. Now, come on, where's the variety? So we didn't have any of that. We had task and we had maintenance. Lots of encouraging, lots of thinking. Yeah, so those are the strengths of the group, I think. Clarifying priorities, encouraging, lots of encouragement, humor. Yeah, those are my notes.
That's brilliant, Yvonne. Thank you. And I apologize. I sent everyone the although you didn't get it, Yvonne, because I'm having this issue of it not telling me who's registered. But I sent most folks the list of roles, but I forgot to say print it out so that you can use it. So my bad.
Yeah.
Members of
I think that was an awesome list, and what an incredible resource. So I'd really like to have it. And I think that what you're doing by offering this free session on terrific teams is an amazing. So Kim and I were keen to get an online club happening here in the Deep South. So this is giving us inspiration for ideas that we can use.
Brilliant.
Thank you for including us.
Thank you. Well, thank you. My gosh. Okay, members of Group 1, what roles do you see yourself doing? And is anyone going to admit to anything dysfunctional? I mean, at the start of a group, there's not much that happens in that way because everybody's being nice to each other, right? But how about you, members of Group 1? What were your experiences? And I'm not. Go ahead. Yes, Anna.
Yeah, how about they wrote out to design and execute a recruiting event to attract new members from within 1 hour away rather than the further apart. And they thought of having every member of the club to bring a guest. And so if they have 27 members, which is what I guess their club had, that might bring in 4 new members if 25% joined. And they thought that might happen by 2 months afterwards, to invite them to a meeting and then have a coffee with that person, individual member with the non-member yet. And they planned on having maybe a Live Your Dream winner as a guest speaker. And having door prizes encourages people to leave their name and their phone number for follow-up. Okay. So brainstormed a few items like that.
All right. So you guys actually spent a fair bit of time drilling down into the SMART goals that Sue's Mandy suggested that would be helpful to really get clarity on, and so that everybody knew what you were aiming for and could assess suggestions against what that goal was. So that was brilliant. And that whole thing about a balance between the creating the social glue and the maintenance of the group and getting the job done. And some people are really impatient to just get on with it. And other folks, for other folks, the process takes precedence, and it's really super important. So balancing that is very tricky. Anybody else from Group 1 want to say what roles you felt you were playing, or was there a role that you don't always play that you tried to play? Like, did anybody who sometimes sits back quietly make an effort to jump in, or does anybody who always is, you know, at the front of the class, did you make an effort to invite others in? Anybody else?
Lori?
I'll talk. I'm Kim
Oh.
from Australia. So I was very quiet and I was a follower. And I kind of felt, one, I was from a different country. I didn't know any of the group and I felt they were quite familiar. So I was a little bit hesitant, I suppose. So I was happy to sit back and be a follower. So what I did like, though, was someone called me out at the end and said, you know, have you got anything else to contribute? And then there was some praise and some summarising of what I'd said. So, you know, I started to feel a bit more confident and comfortable. So I think that was quite important for, you know, if it's a group of new members, you know, how do you get that confidence up, get that person feeling comfortable to be able to contribute? And I felt, you know, I'm moving up, I suppose, that in terms of comfort. So yeah, I think just be aware, as our group was, that there are newbies that are perhaps very quiet. How do you make them feel a bit more confident and comfortable?
That's super important, Kim, and especially when you've got a bunch of people who know each other, and someone new walks in. And the one thing that I think I forgot to mention in that, you know, when you go through the stages of group development, whenever a new person comes in, just one new person, the group has to go through all those stages all over again. And they can go through them quite quickly, but it needs to happen. So it's super important to have somebody who is going to bring in the new person. So thank you so much for that, Kim. What about group 2?
Oh.
Who were the observers? Oh, somebody else have their.
Lori?
I just wanted to quickly say to Kim's comment, like, and to Cheryl, because Cheryl actually used names at the end, and I thought it was a brilliant strategy, and then it just brought everybody in, and that was a takeaway for me. I will totally do that sooner, because sometimes I'm worried that I don't call out a name because I don't want to put them on the spot, but it was a great strategy. So thank you, Kim, for being brave and stepping up like that. It was appreciated, and I'm glad Cheryl called it out. That was it for me.
I was going to just echo what Lori said, that I thought it was great that Cheryl called it out, especially because Cheryl is from Eastern Canada and isn't part of our Western Canada group. So I just thought that was really awesome that she did that. So it was good.
Brilliant. Yes, and you know, you can ask people to contribute in a pushy way, like I sometimes do, or you can ask people in a really accepting whatever level you're at way, which is what Cheryl would do. All right, group 2. Who were the observers in group 2? Okay, Kenya. Kenya was an observer. So Kenya, this is so interesting because you're not a Soroptimist and you were with all these people who kind of know each other. So what did you see in the group? And you're on mute. You have to unmute yourself.
Kenya was having trouble unmuting.
Oh,
Yeah, can you go down to the bottom left of your screen? And do you see the mute button there? No?
Vinny, are you able to unmute her?
I can just ask her to unmute, but I can't unmute.
Or she can just put it in the chat.
Yes. Well, Kenya, you can put comments in the chat, please and thank you. And who was the other observer? You can't access the chat.
Oh no.
Oh dear.
How about you rejoin, Kenya? Do you want to rejoin us?
Oh yeah. Yes, you can exit and go out, and you can exit and come back in. Okay. And in the meantime, who was the other observer in group 2?
I was the other observer.
Okay.
So I observed a number of people. I think Kenya and I were the only ones who were not Soroptimists. And so I observed more of how they wanted to start a new group. The one thing that they thought they should do was research the community, find out what is going on in the community, what other groups were happening in the community and how they might fit in. It would be best, or they thought it would be best, if they could connect with one other person in the community so that they had an in to that community. Maybe they could do a membership marketing survey, find out what was needed. Then when it came, when they actually did the first or the initial meeting, just remember to thank all the people who came, maybe even with a card, not necessarily with email or a phone call, but all those things would be, it would be good if they got that from the people who came, the new people. And one thing that I think everybody agreed on is never count anybody out. That you never know when that person who might have shown up for the first meeting and doesn't even show up till like 5 meetings after that, you never know what they will bring to the table at some point. And I know myself with our Days for Girls, that has proved me right many, many times. Never count anybody out. There was a few people who did most of the talking, but I also got the impression the people who didn't do much talking, that they were just fine with that. I think everybody did mention 1 or 2 things here and there, but not everybody's a talker. So that was fine with me. That's more or less what I observed.
Thank you, Linda. And so this is, this is again showing the balance of task. Hold on. I want to wait. I got. Oh, there we go. Kenya, you're so welcome to be here. And I hope as an observer that it's working for you. So that balance of task and process, I gave folks a real task to do, and so it's very tempting to focus on that and the content of the task now, and it's super valuable to have the précis from each group of your ideas. Now, the flip side, the maintenance, the social glue, the process part. So I'm going to open it up to the whole group of group 2, and including Linda as an observer. And and Kenya, if you want to write somebody's name down and what role they played, hold it up. We can do that too. So the folks in group 2, what roles did you see yourselves playing, or other people playing, or what task actions, roles do you think got used well, what didn't? Same with the maintenance. Let's hear from the members of group 2.
I felt that Darlene, Sharon, and Sherry were the initial contributors to getting it organized. Colleen as well.
All right, thank you. And Sandra.
And I would agree with what Linda said about the initiators, but there was also, I can't remember what that role was called, about people who are sharing information and knowledge sharing, right? We've talked a lot about some people shared had where they had organized recruitment events or events to try and get clubs started.
Right.
And so there was a lot of that, the people playing that role at certain points.
Yeah.
But it was interesting. I want to comment about what group one said at the end. I thought about doing the thing at the end saying we haven't heard from. There were a couple of people in our group too that didn't say anything, but I felt the same way. I felt like I don't want to put them on the spot. Maybe they're not saying anything because they don't have anything to say. So it was interesting to hear that. I probably still should have said it.
Yes, you can always ask, right? And they may say, I'm good. You know, it may be that person who says, I'm just taking it all in. Or it might be their opportunity to speak. Darlene, what did you observe, either in yourself or others?
Well, I just want to say is that you extend the invitation because again, because of the friendship chair, I did receive an email from Kim today from the Southeast Asia Pacific region wanting to do something with our online clubs because I did one of the events that I saw on Facebook, like Eventbrite, if there's something that's free and I'm available, and Yvonne was copied in it. So I actually I did a cut and paste to your message today. So you did have the information, but extend the invitation. You never know if they'll come, and maybe reach out again and say, hey, this event is happening, you might be interested, whether it's in the same city that you live or another part of the world. So I think is if you extend the invitation, they may come.
Thank you. Okay, who else was in?
Okay, got it.
Yes, she's here.
Hi, got it. Thank God for young people.
Okay, so Kenya, you were observing group two. What
Yes.
roles do you see people playing? What either task, maintenance roles? What did you see? What helped the group move along?
Okay, I saw that they were very friendly, talking amongst each other and trying to get an idea. They were hashing out ideas of how to get recruitment, how to go about making developing another group, another Soroptimist chapter. And one thing I realized at the end, even though they were trying everything beforehand, they didn't even think about the outcome until the end, what they were actually trying to do. And it was good. It was you were like, okay, finally they came up with going to colonists,
right?
And and talk and making a spring conference. And that came the last second. They were like, we didn't find out what that was. And that's when it came. And I said, sometimes it just takes you talking and hashing things out. And then you're like, oh, what's our goal? And they made their goal. So it was good. Yes, very friendly. I thank God for all of you. I did want to ask what ministry, because they were talking about a ministry.
Yeah, that actually.
I think they meant the Ministry of Social Services, or else it was the children's aid, like she was from foster care, I think, was what she was referring to.
Okay, and that's it. I know I was trying to get everybody's name, but as they were going, I was trying to get the mute button to start working for me. So
that's okay.
I was a little preoccupied with that. I'm sorry.
Brilliant. Anybody else from group two, in terms of, did you try anything differently than you ordinarily do in a group, in a team? All right. Okay.
I'll go. I usually have more input, but I found that this there was all these existing relationships, and I just took in the information because there was so much information that I didn't really have anything to contribute because I just wanted to know how they had done it before. So that was kind of a different role for me, but it was really valuable information. I really appreciated that. So I just want to thank everyone in my group for sure.
Well, and that's that's a perfect example of when you're new to a group, you are taking it all in. And then, you know, as you get more experience, then your role shifts and you become one of those information givers or opinion givers. Absolutely. And April, you were going to make a comment.
I was going to say that I'm very much a task-oriented individual. So I know there was the preamble, but I wanted to get people organized and, you know, the PR people, the marketing people, the people on the ground. But at the same time, it's a good reminder about, as you say, those steps regarding the social cohesion. And I felt for myself that I probably overlooked those to a great extent, but nonetheless, again, it's interesting what happens when the individuals are more known to one another than not necessarily. But yeah, it was just a confirmation again that I'm very task oriented and that I need to be aware of those elements that help the task become successful or come to a successful conclusion. And it is those aspects of interaction and communication.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you. Well, speaking of that, we've got about 10 minutes left here, and I am going to race through something. Because, you know, this was a lovely group with everybody being friendly. And sometimes what happens is you get into difficulties, and they can be all kinds of difficulties. And you know, the signals are varied. Signs of task difficulties are things like this, you know, whether it's there's an unequal distribution at work, somebody's saying this is stupid, or, you know, we don't have to do this. There's signs of the process difficulties, that the social glue is not happening. You get people being silent, opting out, right, sitting back, not participating, people being obnoxious, pushing, testing. So why do those things happen? Well, people have all sorts of, you know, people come with all sorts of feelings about themselves, about other people, about the group itself, about the task, about life, about the world. A lack of clarity means that we're floundering around. People come with, you know, people are not newborn into groups. They've come from another club. They've come from a Days for Girls group. They've come from the teachers that they've had. They've come with experience of groups, and that always colors how we see things. People come in with just inexperience, and they don't know what they're talking about, and they don't know what anybody else is talking about, and they're confused. Boy, we've just lived through 2+ years of wider social events having an impact and causing friction, causing difficulties in groups. So whatever the cause, you as a leader have to deal with it. And in the world of Gestalt, there is a saying that disturbance takes precedence. And it means that, you know, it could be the elephant in the room, it could be a hidden agenda, it could be a well-known issue, but whatever it is, work is just not going to proceed well or happily until that disturbance in the force gets smoothed over. So this is what you need to be. You need to be calm. You need to be prepared to confront the issue or deal with it. And you are going to be unafraid of the anger that may come out, because you know that most of it is not directed towards you, though it may seem so, because you are a safe target. you're the mom, and you're not going to abandon your kids. So you're aware that some of the maybe individuals may try to manipulate you or manipulate the situation. And you know that they are expressing genuine needs they have that are unmet. So you are going to keep in front of yourself and the group that you have kind of a three-way linked Venn diagram almost. You've got the needs of the task, the needs of the group, and the needs of the individuals. And they all have to be in balance. So in this Zen state, what are you going to do? Well, first, you're going to puzzle out the situation as best you can with yourself, you know, and I always find a piece of paper and a pen is really useful. You might bounce some ideas off a trusted colleague, and you're going to figure out as best you can what is the situation here, what is the problem, who's involved, who's affected, how is it affecting people, and what's causing it, and what do you think is the best way to deal with it. And then you're going to take it up to the group, because the group will come up with the best solution. I've always found, I'm using the argument of authority, bad, Suzanne, bad. I have found if you have faith in the power of your team and you genuinely believe that the best outcome will happen, then it will. So you are going to bring it up. You're going to create a safe space in which to address it. You're going to kick off the discussion with your own dispassionate assessment. You're going to make sure that everyone is heard and that everyone listens. And you could choose to pair off people and say, you guys are going to now actively listen to each other about what you each think is going on. Or you could do that in a small group of 3s or 4s. And when everyone feels heard and when everyone has clarity and a shared clarity on what the issue is, then a course of action will emerge. And then it is super important to commit to follow through and say, okay, this is what we're going to try in whether it's 2 weeks, next meeting, 2 meetings, 6 months. We're going to revisit this issue and see how people are feeling about it. So that was kind of the last piece that I wanted to share, that, you know, dysfunctional stuff happens, and as a leader, it's our job to surface that and help the group to deal with it. So that is sort of a whirlwind trip through terrific teams. And one last thing, I would love to ask everybody, let's do one more chat box. So anybody who wants to, just put into the chat, what's one personal action that you take away from this, or one personal action item, or one personal learning that you have? Just type away, think about it, type away. See, some people are still thinking. And don't press any. One thing that you take away, one thing that you're going to do. And everybody press return, and let's see. All right, Kathy, you're gonna have to, Kathy from White Rock, you're gonna have to decipher yours. Literally. Brilliant. Mm. Yes, I have a terrific book. I don't actually know where it is at the moment, but it's called Flawless Consulting. It's a really good book. And there's a piece in it where the author says, you're doing everything right. You are just consulting like the best consultant in the world. And things are not going well. So it's one of two things, he said. It's either a question of commitment. So your client isn't really fully committed to the goal, to what they are saying they want to do, or it's a question of control. And this is with the client consultant relationship. So, in that case, but it works in groups as well. So when the goal is not clear and shared by everybody, then you're going to go every which way and not much is going to happen and lots of people will be frustrated. When you have commitment to a focused goal, and Bobby was on a call just on Saturday when we said, I actually asked the group, the leaders of Soroptimist, our federation, what we needed to move into the future. And everyone said we need to focus on our shared goal, our shared mission. So that is really clear. Thanks for all this. Before we close, if anybody has any comments, anything you'd like to expand on what you put in the chat, or say, just raise a hand.
Governor Suzanne, I was just going to say, I felt like the group work in this event was really, really good. And I just loved how it all came together. And then all the discussion when we were back together in the big group was also just really valuable. So thank you so much for doing this for us.
Well, thank you to everybody for your time and your energy and your focus, and for all that you do in making terrific teams both in and out of Soroptimist. And Kenya, and Linda, I hope that you've learned something about Soroptimist. And I think I have everybody's email, although I'm not sure. But I will. I would be delighted to send folks any more information that I put in the slides, and please share. Make terrific teams. So thank you, everyone.